out. It's maybe not helping you with the fog. It's helping itself to information about what you're doing, depending on how important you are. Anyway, the main story is that the Chinese drones used by the UK police are spying on us. Not to put too fine a point on it, and that the Rishi Sunak has been warned that this is happening, and that he continues to allow the police to use them at his own peril. I have to say, the one thing that you can guarantee about all levels of governance is at the moment is they're so useless, and like most useless organizations and people, they're arrogant. Is they don't listen to anybody. They just carry on in their own silly way, and screwing things up even worse than they are or were when they took over. But never mind. That's human nature, isn't it? But we haven't got much left. There's local elections, I think, in May, and we're rapidly coming up to a general election. I'm not quite sure when that takes place. All right, The Guardian. Police mischarges to arrest Cousins as a sex offender. That's the rogue policeman. It was widely reported at the time. I don't know, one paper reported something like 30 opportunities to stop the man, the policeman, who has killed and raped her. Well, he did it quite a lot, but in 2021 he did it to Sarah Everard and was caught for it, and then the whole thing came out. So why the Guardian is regurgitating that story, I have no idea. The Daily Mail is Rishi. The RAF are ready to shoot down the. It's not a very good picture, is it? Not a very full one. The Americans already have done so. Now, Rishi says the RAF are ready to shoot down spy balloons if they come floating across our territory. And yesterday it was reported from Taiwan that the spy balloons regularly go into their airspace. It's a half a dozen times a year or so. And they've sort of got used to it. That doesn't help, particularly if they're spy balloons and they're spying on us. Rishi Sunak's response to what the RAF can and can't do is following on the report that the US is scrutinizing its airspace more closely following the incursion of a suspected spy balloon from China earlier this month. The Mail quotes Prime Minister Rishi Sunak as saying the country's armed forces are ready to shoot down Chinese spy balloons. The paper also says the Prime Minister is under growing pressure from within his party to take a harder line on China. Why worry if we're using their drones? They don't need to send spy balloons. Apparently, I mean, the implication is that built into these drones is be able to use them for information being sent back to China. Yeah, so, God, you can't make it up. You really cannot make it up. It is. We're living in Kafkaesque times, I'm afraid. We really are. Oh, no. Right. Now, the Times exposed the secret plot to sink tougher sewage rules. What the Times says is about. Well, it also mentions RAF ready to shoot down Chinese spy balloons, but its main story is about water companies, which it says have privately lobbied to weaken the government's plans to reduce sewage spills from storm overflows. And in fact, there was some suggestion yesterday that the government was already starting to water down the requirements from their new bill. The companies reportedly said the plan risked adding hundreds of pounds to household bills. Well, why not hundreds of pounds off the obscene billions profits that these companies make? It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. It's a bit like the MPs. I mean, it's no dafter than the MPs suggesting that they get 150 grand if they lose the election. Oh, that's your pay offer. I mean, how crazy can these people be? They do everything to satisfy their own pockets. Greed it should be plastered all over the House of Commons. Greed, just so that we all know. They're not going to change. They'll continue to be greedy. Once you've actually got your fingers into the jam pot, the honey pot, that's where they stay. But at least these people can start to be honest about it. Right, okay. The companies reportedly said the plan risked adding hundreds of pounds to household bills. And the front page says that the storm overflows continue to pour their filth into the sea and into the lakes and into the rivers. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. The Daily Star. Oh, I just love the Daily Star. I don't think that we've. The Star has got a story, as it comes back to these stories from time to time, is that there are little green men watching us or governing us or whatever. It just takes it away from the other thing. So we can't rule out aliens, says the Star. As the Americans shoot down a fourth mysterious object flying in their airspace, a top military commander reveals we can't rule out aliens. A U.S. jet downs an octagonal aircraft. That's an 8-sided aircraft, which evaded radar for many years. The number 10 is keeping stum on this invasion. What it says, the latest developments in the US, where authorities have shot down 3 unidentified objects in recent days, is that we can't rule out aliens. It includes an image of perhaps the world's best known extraterrestrial, ET, apparently reaching out to his family, and says the UK government is keeping quiet on the invasion. He looks rather nice. He looks rather more formidable, doesn't he? But is mankind just merrily traipse along, ignoring a whole lot of things? I tell you, the first time that a confirmed alien is seen is you watch the difference in attitudes from all sorts of people. Oh, gone will be the comfort zone, because actually all those people that are stuffing their money full of pockets full of money, sorry about that, it would be the prime target for aliens. So suddenly, going from being nice and wealthy at the cost of us taxpayers, is they would suddenly be subject to people that they don't know, probably can't deal with, got animosity towards us, aggressive invaders, you name it. Right, okay. The Daily Express. What does the Express have? Millions claim a maximum council tax. Yes, I suppose that's right. And we have been warned. And really, it doesn't matter whether they spent it wisely or didn't spend it wisely, or spent it in panic or whatever. The cost of COVID means that somebody's got to pay for it, and council taxpayers are the first in line. So are we surprised? Are we surprised? The Daily Express saying that millions of us face domestic politics dominate the front page of the Daily Express, which is a government supporting newspaper. And it says that millions of people are facing the biggest council tax rises ever, in a further blow to those already hit by higher bills. The paper says the threat, the 3 out of 4 councils will put up the annual levy by the maximum amount, or 5%, and that goes up in April. And I think already our own council, Lewis District Council, has signalled that we are going to be paying the maximum of tax. Why? I have no idea. It's just scrape the surface of their fiscal policies. And I mean, first of all, it took them 2 or 3 years to get the last set of accounts written off, or written down, or whatever it is anyway, reported. And when it comes to the Charity Commission, it was even worse. And I'm not sure that has even now been filed. And so they're in a mess. What you do when you're in a mess, when you're in that sort of situation, because basically they don't know what to do. They have no idea what to do. Completely clueless. So what you do is, as a famous scene in a docudrama done about President Kennedy and his brother Bobby, who are standing looking at the crowds beginning to amass on the front lawn in protest at the Vietnam War. And Jack Kennedy, the president, says to Bobby, Jesus, Bobby, what the hell do we do? And Bobby says, what we always do, Jack, in these circumstances, nothing. And of course, that's exactly what politicians do. They don't do anything. And it all seems to go away. And nobody chases them for it, and they relax for a while until such time as there's another crisis. And then they have some reason, and it's not us, Gov, it's somebody else. It's always somebody else. Well, there's a council tax bill is going to go up. It'll go up a maximum. But what they actually are doing with the money, it's difficult to say. Certainly, I suspect that an awful lot is spent on Eastbourne and not here, because that's where Lewis District Council is now in Eastbourne. Would you believe? How ridiculous can you be? And let's not make too fine a point on it, because the present council is made up of a sort of rainbow alliance. Is Lib Dems, Labour, Greens, and so on. And it was the Conservatives who actually signed away our authority over ourselves. Somebody had a bright idea, and of course it hasn't worked. The trouble is that once you've got a bright idea into place, getting rid of it is very, very, very difficult. Aha! Now we, I'm happy to say, have this. The unfortunate thing is that the item, the story in let's see, it's in the Sun, doesn't make it clear which company or which Quango government organization is responsible. Is It's got a mind of its own. This shirt is the cost of Brits. The cost of energy bills is the energy bosses sent 100 reps to the Maldives, living it up, says the headline, right? And it focuses its attention on the cost of living crisis, running what it says is an exclusive story saying that it's people in the UK are struggling with rising prices, and energy firms has flown 100 reps to a paradise island on an all expenses paid trip. Great stuff if you can get it. All you got to do is to work for a quango, like an energy company, or for that matter, a bank, credit card company, any of the Whitehall lot, and you can live it up. You'll get one of these fact-finding trips. Is if you know any MPs well enough, they'll nod and wink and sort of say, "Yeah, well, I went on this fact-finding trip, didn't get many facts, and what I did get, I'm not sure what I could do with." But it was a well-known way of getting yet another reward. Well, this has all gone too far. I mean, it really has gone too far, and I can actually see trouble brewing. They can't. I can, and some of my colleagues can. We've been pushed to where they've started to look after themselves again in a silly way. Hunt has been urged to increase defense spending, and otherwise, says the Eye, he risks failing to deter Putin. It doesn't have much more to say on the issue on its front page, anyway, than that. The Conservatives are pressing Jeremy Hunt to increase defence budget amid growing security row in the US over unidentified objects from China. And Rishi Sunak says the UK is ready to shoot down spy balloons if needed. Putin will be emboldened if the UK does not boost the defence spending, and military leaders warn that the Chancellor faces a £1 billion demand for extra spending on our guns and tanks and so on, particularly since we're offering to give a lot of them away to Ukraine. Okay, the Metro is about a lady who was a teen knife victim. It's not a story that I totally understand, to be quite honest with you, with the way that it's been written. The Mirror is I'm not a threat to victim's lover. Another story about somebody who's in prison and not in prison, and the victim says, "Don't let him out. I'm afraid of him," and so on. So it's all good stuff, but that's the stuff you can read. It makes no difference to you one way or another. The Financial Times is betting on Vodafone. It says because there is some takeover stuff being right. Okay. There we are. Vodafone with overseas bets on Vodafone. Liberty Global has taken a £1.2 billion stake in Vodafone, and the image from protests in Israel, where people have demonstrated against efforts by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to curb the powers of the country's judiciary. It also leads with a story saying that Amazon is planning to go big on the country's struggling grocery store business. But it does not give any more details on this takeover bid from Liberty Global on Vodafone, and taking a 1.2 billion stake, which is a fairly substantial stake. So that's that there, as they say. Now let's just see if there's anything local that we should pay any attention to. Oh, come on. The technology is all very well, but it really can be very frustrating. Very, very frustrating. And it doesn't do half the time. Now, is a shopkeeper required stitches after being assaulted in store? What's that about? In St Leonard's, a young man assaulted a shopkeeper and left him bleeding and battered and looking a mess. And police are seeking this man. They seek him here, they seek him there, and I'm afraid it's not necessarily right. Sussex City listed among the top 10 healthiest places to live in the UK. Oh, where's that? Just a matter of interest. Brighton Hove. Oh, well, just down the road. Brighton Hove, healthy. I don't know what that leaves us. Oh dear. What else have they got to say? A man falls from a building. Right. Emergency incident closes the emergency services have closed the Bognor Seafront Road in both directions. So if you're heading to Bognor or you live there, beware. Breaking news, it says, the main seafront in Bognor Regis is closed because of this accident or whatever it is. Now, here's one that I think that we need to pay attention to because it's this insidious creeping thing from the banks. Lloyds this time is the culprit. It's going to close its Littlehampton and Russington branches as they switch to online banking as a policy. Crazy. Here we go again. £6 billion Lloyds made in profits. I'm not a bit surprised. They keep on closing down things that need human beings. We're all supposed to do it all online. And when it goes wrong, which it does, and 9 times out of 10 it's them it's going wrong. When it goes wrong, it's not their fault. Not our fault, Gov. No. But I've often wondered, when I go onto the underground in London, there is always an escalator that is closed. It's always broken down. And yet they keep on installing more and more escalators. The same company that keeps on selling them duff stuff. stuff that breaks down. The banks are just exactly the same. They keep on following policies that are signally failing. And why? Because it stuffs their own bank account. I'd be very interested to see where Lloyd's Bank, I doubt if it's through their own bank. God help us. I totally doubt it, because it's so badly managed, and the computers have got it into one hell of a mess. Mind you, I have to say this, that it hasn't cut and run from some areas, such as Lewis, the way that others have. It'll soon be the only bank left on the high street here, and how long will that last? Not for very long, I suspect. So for the moment, it's okay. But the fact is, it closes it down, leaves an ATM, leaves you wanting to or requiring to use a computer to bank, and it's crazy, because if anything goes wrong, it's your fault. And if you make a mistake, they're on to you within an hour. If they make a mistake, it's, we'll investigate, and it may take up to 14 working days, which always turns into 28. And then they have the temerity to send things, you haven't paid your bill. You haven't paid your amount of money. I mean, it's outrageous. It's our entire world, our entire life has been turned topsy-turvy, and nobody seems to give a damn. It's quite remarkable. If you look at the social media, the local things like Lewis Present and so on, you can see how our society, our community has been knocked sideways by these things. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And right now we're down to the fireball that exploded yesterday night, and that's yesterday's news. So I think we'll go back to. Well, we won't go back actually, but what we will do is we will tell you a bit about the weather, because there is an alert out about fog, and certainly it was very foggy this morning. I had a little chat to the bus driver about it. It was very interesting, and he was telling me where the fog really would lay. He said not too bad in Brighton, but the further east that he came towards Hastings, or in fact Tunbridge Wells, where the bus goes, is it got foggier and foggier, and he understood why there was a warning out. So those are basically the front pages and the headlines. It's a bit of a mixture this morning. Even I can't remember exactly all the stories that we've brought to you. I had a comment on. What I would say is, if I have my little morning rant as usual, and it is now 9:05, we were 2 minutes late getting 2 minutes late on the air, so we're only 3 minutes over. He said, this computer business gets worse and worse and worse, and nobody, and particularly governments and so on, do anything about it. I mean, Lewis District Council are just a farce. Right? They don't look at their own statistics. 50% of the population, by their own figures, were busy fulfilling their lives before we had Windows, before we had internet as we understand it now. So what do? Yeah, for the other 50%, everything comes online. And then they expect us to remember what it is that they're saying they're going to do. They strut, all of them. Oh, this is what we've done, blah, 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 blah. And they've done sweet bugger all, to be quite honest with you. We don't hear much about them, because unless you're willing to go online on the computer, and look at this, they have 200, 300 people, right? How many people are there in Lewis District, in the electoral district? 100,000, that's who. Oh, we got 200 people looking at our website. When are these people going to get real? When are we going to force them to get real? Do you know, I have a good mind to just try and get a whole bunch of people, just as a protest, to run in the next election as paper candidates. It'd be an absolute laugh if we got somebody in. That's it for today. Well, it's not it for today. What it is that we're going to come back in half an hour, and we will have an episode of the bloody past of a tiny town. It is episode number 5, I believe, and it is about the Rodin statue and the uproar that it caused at the beginning of the last century, when these naked figures in an embrace were chiseled by Rodin and bought by a mad American in Lewis. Oh, shocking! So do come back to us at 9:30, and then after that we have an interview that I did some time ago as part of our series Leslie's People. Leslie being the artist who paints local figures and hangs them in the cancer research shop at the bottom of School Hill. And we followed up by interviewing some of the people, in other words, making those paintings real. So there you are. That's what is coming up. Let's let me say toodle pip first of all. Toodle pip, and then we can worry about the bloody past of a tiny town at 9:30 in a different vein. Those are the news headlines, the newspaper front pages, and I'm happy to say that as usual they show the nonsense and the corruption that is taking place in our so-called civilized society. Where the hell the word civil society comes from, I don't know. There's nothing civil about it at all. Just a bit.